The Nile, Earth's longest river, has shaped civilizations, inspired myths, and turned desert into paradise. Flowing from mysterious headwaters to the Mediterranean, it remains a living legend, sustaining life and echoing ancient stories along its timeless banks. Join us as we journey along the Nile, discovering its enduring magic and wisdom. The sheer scale of the Nile is almost impossible to comprehend. It embarks on an epic journey that stretches over 4,135 miles, or 6,650 kilometers, making it the longest river on our planet. This immense waterway is not a single simple stream but a complex network of rivers and tributaries that gathers strength as it travels northward across the African continent. Its course is a testament to nature's persistence, a relentless force that has sculpted canyons, nourished floodplains, and sustained life against all odds. To trace its path is to witness a geographical marvel, an artery of pure lifeblood that connects disparate lands and ecosystems in a single flowing narrative. The Nile's grand voyage winds its way through 11 different countries, each with its own unique culture, landscape, and relationship with the river. It touches the lives of people in Uganda, South Sudan, the Republic of the Sudan, Egypt, Ethiopia, Eritrea, Kenya, Tanzania, Rwanda, Burundi, and the Democratic Republic of the Congo. For these nations, the river is not merely a line on a map. It is a shared resource, a source of identity, and a lifeline for their economies and communities. This vast reach makes the Nile a truly international river, a shared heritage that binds a significant portion of the African continent together in a delicate, life-giving embrace. Yet for all its fame, the true origin of the Nile has been a subject of debate and exploration for centuries. The quest to find its source captivated ancient Romans, Victorian explorers, and modern geographers alike. The mystery lies in its two primary tributaries, the White Nile and the Blue Nile. The White Nile, considered by many to be the primary headstream, begins its journey in the equatorial highlands around Lake Victoria, the largest lake in Africa. Its waters are steadier, providing a consistent flow throughout the year, as it meanders through vast wetlands and savannas on its long trek north. In stark contrast, the Blue Nile offers a more dramatic and seasonal contribution. It bursts forth from Lake Tana in the Ethiopian highlands, a rugged mountainous region that experiences heavy summer rains. These downpours swell the Blue Nile, transforming it into a powerful torrent that carries with it millions of tons of fertile black silt. It is this silt that historically enriched the farmlands of Sudan and Egypt, giving the land its famous fertility. When the White Nile and the Blue Nile finally merge in Khartoum, the capital of Sudan, they form the one true Nile, a mighty river ready to complete its final legendary push toward the sea. The Nile was revered as a divine source of life. Ancient Egypt's civilization emerged from its banks, their lives woven into the river's rhythm. Its annual floods brought rich silt, enabling abundant crops and monumental achievements. The Nile was Egypt's lifeline, spiritually, economically, and eternally. The Nile's timeless flow still shapes life in Egypt and Sudan, sustaining millions along its banks. From bustling villages to vibrant wildlife, its rhythm endures, yet faces new threats from climate change and development. Protecting this ancient lifeline is more vital than ever. The Nile's source was history's greatest riddle, captivating emperors and explorers for centuries. Ancient Egyptians, Romans, and 19th-century adventurers all sought its beginning, only to find a complex network of rivers and lakes. The Nile's true origin is not a single point, but a grand symphony of nature. The White Nile begins in East Africa's lush highlands, flowing from small streams in Burundi and Rwanda into Lake Victoria, then north as a calm, steady current, nature's heartbeat. Its reliable flow sustains life, even through drought, providing the Nile's enduring pulse from Africa's heart to the desert. The Blue Nile, born in Ethiopia's highlands, transforms from a gentle stream to a raging torrent with the monsoon rains. Carrying rich silt, it surges north, fueling the Nile's annual flood and creating Egypt's fertile lands, a thundering pulse of life and renewal. In Khartoum, Sudan, the white and blue Nile meet at Al Mogran, their distinct waters flowing side by side before merging into one mighty river. From here, the Nile carries the legacy of both tributaries northward, becoming the legendary lifeline that has shaped civilizations for millennia. The Nile flows north from Khartoum, carving a green ribbon through the Sahara and sustaining millions. It unites and divides, shaping cultures, sparking conflict, and demanding cooperation as it journeys through 11 nations. The river's future depends on our shared stewardship and wisdom. In the heart of the desert, the Nile's annual flood transformed barren land into a fertile paradise. This miracle, called Kemet, the Black Land, was the foundation of ancient Egypt, bringing rich silt, abundant crops, and prosperity. The Nile's gift shaped a civilization, a world truly born from silt. Ancient Egypt's calendar revolved around the Nile's three seasons: Akhet, Pere, and Shemu. Akhet, the inundation, brought floods and halted farming, but enabled massive state projects like pyramid building. Pere followed as the waters receded, leaving fertile soil for planting and intense agricultural work. Shemu, the harvest, was a time of reaping crops and celebration as the river ran low. This cycle of flood, growth, and harvest shaped every aspect of Egyptian life. The Nile's rhythm was the heartbeat of their civilization, guiding both daily labor and spiritual belief. To the Egyptians, the Nile was sacred, a living god named Hapi, bringer of the life-giving flood. The river's cycles were seen as divine order, with the pharaoh responsible for ensuring balance and prosperity. Too little or too much water meant disaster, so rituals and offerings honored the gods for a perfect inundation. The Nile's east bank symbolized life. The west, death, and the afterlife, its waters connecting both worlds. Egyptians saw the river as a gentle, reliable parent, a source of both physical and spiritual sustenance. The Nile was the axis of their universe, transforming a simple river into the heart of their cosmos. The Nile was Egypt's superhighway, uniting the land and powering its economy. Boats carried grain north, luxury goods south, and massive stones for temples and pyramids. High floods allowed barges to deliver building materials close to construction sites, fueling monumental projects. The river's natural currents and winds made two-way travel efficient, connecting cities and villages. Egypt's iconic monuments are as much a tribute to the Nile's power as to the pharaoh's ambition. The river was the essential tool that made Egypt's grandest achievements possible. The Nile's gifts shaped Egypt's legacy, from papyrus scrolls to towering pyramids. Papyrus, harvested from the riverbanks, enabled record-keeping, literature, and the rise of a complex state. The pyramids, built with stones ferried by the Nile, embodied the civilization's harmony with nature and the divine. Egypt's greatness lay in working with the river's cycles, not against them. Their worldview, life, death, and rebirth, was mirrored in the Nile's eternal flow. The wisdom of Egypt endures. True greatness comes from living in partnership with the natural world. Today, the Nile remains the lifeblood of millions, linking ancient tradition with modern life. Farmers blend old techniques with new technology, drawing water as their ancestors did. The river is a social and cultural center, from Cairo's bustling Corniche to quiet village banks. The Aswan High Dam ended the annual flood, but dependence on the Nile has only grown. Communities now face the challenge of balancing heritage with sustainable management. The Nile's story continues, its flow connecting past, present, and future generations. The felucca, with its tall triangular sail, glides gracefully across the Nile, a timeless symbol unchanged since the days of the pharaohs. Life aboard is slow and mindful, connecting travelers and locals to the river's enduring spirit and ancient traditions. Its white sail against the blue water is a living emblem of Egypt's cultural soul, flowing through history. The Nile is a sanctuary for Africa's giants, the hippopotamus and the Nile crocodile. These powerful creatures shape the river's identity, embodying its wild beauty and danger. Despite threats from habitat loss, their presence reminds us of the Nile's enduring, untamed spirit. The Nile is a sanctuary for birds. Migratory flocks fill its skies, resident species thrive in its wetlands, and rare shoebills haunt its swamps. This river's vibrant bird life reveals a world of beauty and fragility, reminding us why protecting these habitats is so vital. Life along the Nile today is a complex interplay of ancient traditions and modern pressures, a delicate dance between humanity and nature. The same river that nurtures millions of people and shelters incredible wildlife is facing a host of unprecedented challenges that threaten its very essence. The most significant of these is the sheer pressure of a rapidly growing population. As the number of people depending on the river for water, food, and livelihoods increases, so too does the strain on its finite resources. This leads to greater water withdrawals for agriculture and industry, as well as increased pollution from urban runoff, industrial discharge, and agricultural chemicals, which degrade water quality and harm aquatic ecosystems. This human element introduces a layer of complexity to the river's ecosystem that was unknown in ancient times. The construction of dams, while providing essential benefits like hydroelectric power and flood control, has fundamentally altered the river's natural flow. The Aswan High Dam, for example, stopped the annual flood that once deposited fertile silt on Egypt's farmlands, forcing farmers to rely on artificial fertilizers. It also blocked the migration of sediment to the delta, causing coastal erosion. While necessary for modern development, such large-scale interventions create a cascade of ecological consequences, disrupting the habitats of fish, birds, and other wildlife that have adapted to the river's natural rhythms over millennia. The coexistence of humans and wildlife, once a matter of respectful distance, has become increasingly fraught with conflict. As human settlements expand, they encroach on the traditional habitats of animals like crocodiles and hippos, leading to more frequent and sometimes dangerous encounters. Crocodiles can pose a threat to livestock and people, while hippos often raid riverside farms, destroying crops and creating significant economic losses for farmers. Finding solutions that protect both human livelihoods and vulnerable wildlife populations is one of the most pressing conservation challenges along the Nile today, requiring careful land use planning, community education, and the development of mitigation strategies. Ultimately, the story of life along the modern Nile is a microcosm of the global challenge of sustainable development. It is a story about finding balance, a balance between the needs of people and the health of the environment, between national development and regional cooperation, and between honoring the past and securing the future. The enduring rhythm of the Nile is now intertwined with the actions and choices of humanity. Protecting this timeless lifeline requires a collective sense of stewardship and a deep, mindful understanding that the well-being of the river and the well-being of all who depend on it are, and always will be, inseparable. The Nile, for all its timeless grandeur and ancient resilience, is not immune to the pressures of the modern world. This mighty river, which has flowed steadfastly for eons, now faces a confluence of challenges that threaten its delicate balance and the future of the millions who depend upon it. The life-giving artery that nourished one of the world's first great civilizations is now under immense strain. The challenges are complex and interconnected, weaving together the threads of environmental change, technological ambition, and intense political maneuvering. The story of the Nile in the 21st century is no longer just a tale of nature's bounty, but a sober reflection on humanity's profound and often disruptive impact on the planet's most vital systems. This modern dilemma stems from a simple yet powerful reality. A finite resource is being stretched to its absolute limit. The population of the Nile Basin is projected to double in the coming decades, placing an unprecedented demand on the river's water supply. More people mean a greater need for drinking water, more land to be irrigated for food, and more electricity to power growing cities. Each of these demands draws directly from the river, reducing its flow and altering its character. This escalating pressure creates a fragile situation where the river's capacity to sustain life is being tested as never before in its long and storied history. The threats are not singular but layered, each one compounding the others. Climate change is altering rainfall patterns at the river's sources, making its flow less predictable. The construction of massive dams, while aimed at harnessing the river's power for development, fundamentally changes its downstream ecology and can become a source of intense regional friction. This friction gives rise to complex water politics, where the national interests of the 11 countries in the basin often clash. The Nile has become a chessboard for geopolitics, where control over water translates directly into national security and economic stability, turning a shared lifeline into a potential line of division. As we journey into this new chapter of the Nile's story, we must do so with a sense of mindful awareness. This is not a story of blame, but one of shared responsibility. The challenges facing the Nile are a mirror to the global challenges we all face. They call for a deeper understanding of our interconnectedness and a greater commitment to finding collaborative solutions. The river that has taught humanity so much about life and endurance now presents us with its most urgent lesson, that its survival, and our own, depends on our ability to work together to protect this precious and irreplaceable gift for the generations that are yet to come. The Nile, once predictable, now faces the shadow of climate change. Rising temperatures, erratic rains, and vanishing water threaten its future. Farmers struggle as droughts and floods disrupt their lives. The river's message is clear: adapt with wisdom or risk an uncertain tomorrow. The Nile has long been tamed by dams. Monumental feats like the Aswan High Dam and the Grand Ethiopian Renaissance Dam. These projects bring power and progress, but also displace communities, disrupt ecosystems, and spark tensions between nations. The Nile's future depends on cooperation and careful management of this vital shared resource. The Nile flows through 11 sovereign nations, but for much of history, its waters were controlled by the two countries at the end of its journey, Sudan and Egypt. Colonial-era treaties, which the upstream countries had no part in, allocated the lion's share of the river's flow to these downstream powers. This historical arrangement has created a deep-seated imbalance, where countries like Ethiopia, which contributes over 85% of the Nile's water, felt they had little legal right to use it. This legacy has fueled a simmering current of tension, a feeling among upstream nations that the water politics of the river have been fundamentally unjust and must be redefined for the 21st century. This quest for a more equitable distribution of water rights is at the heart of today's Nile politics. The upstream countries, united under the Cooperative Framework Agreement, are asserting their right to develop the river's resources for their own populations. They argue that they can no longer be expected to forego hydroelectric power and irrigation projects, while their people face poverty and energy shortages. This perspective directly challenges the historical claims of Egypt and Sudan, who view their existing water shares as a matter of national survival. Egypt, in particular, with its almost total dependence on the Nile, sees any reduction in flow as a direct threat to its existence. The Grand Ethiopian Renaissance Dam has brought these long-standing tensions to a boiling point. It has become the focal point of a high-stakes diplomatic battle, a struggle to balance the developmental aspirations of Ethiopia with the water security concerns of Egypt and Sudan. Years of negotiations have failed to produce a comprehensive, legally binding agreement on how the dam should be filled and operated, leading to a war of words and a climate of mistrust. The dispute highlights the absence of a strong, basin-wide institution with the authority to manage the river's resources fairly and sustainably for all, turning a shared natural heritage into a source of regional geopolitical rivalry. The politics of water are, in essence, the politics of life itself. In an arid region where water is more precious than oil, control over the river is synonymous with power and security. The current of tension flowing through the Nile Basin is a stark reminder that our most vital natural resources are often the most difficult to share. Without a breakthrough in diplomacy, rooted in mutual respect and a commitment to shared benefits, the river could become a source of conflict rather than cooperation. The challenge is to transform the narrative from one of a zero-sum game of winners and losers to one of collective stewardship for a shared and prosperous future. The Nile's challenges, climate change, dams, and disputes, demand cooperation for survival. No country can solve this alone. The river connects us all. Only by working together, sharing knowledge, and building trust can we secure a future of peace and abundance for everyone along the Nile. As our journey along the Nile ends, we reflect on its enduring wisdom. The river's patient flow, its power to adapt, and its generosity inspire us. The Nile teaches that true strength comes from resilience, harmony, and giving, reminding us to nurture life just as it does for generations to come. In our fast-paced world, we often lose touch with nature's rhythms. The Nile invites us to slow down, reconnect, and find peace in the present moment. Its struggles remind us that our well-being is tied to the river's health. By caring for the Nile, we care for ourselves and our planet. As the sun sets over the great river, casting a golden glow upon its ancient waters, we are left with one final, personal question. The Nile's journey is a grand epic of nature, a story of life, power, and endurance written across a continent. But its true power as a mindful wanderer's destination lies in its ability to inspire introspection. Its story becomes a metaphor for our own lives, a landscape upon which we can map our own inner journeys. The river flows through highlands and deserts, through tranquil wetlands and powerful rapids. It faces obstacles, nourishes life, and finally merges with a greater whole. This is the universal pattern of all existence, including our own. We invite you to reflect on this metaphor. What is your river? What is the central, life-giving current that flows through your own existence? It may be a passion, a purpose, a deep love, or a guiding faith. It is the force that carries you forward, that nourishes your spirit, and gives your life meaning and direction. Like the Nile, this inner river may have different sources, drawing strength from various experiences and relationships. It may have seasons of flood and seasons of drought. Understanding this central current is the first step toward navigating your life with intention and grace, finding your own unique path. Consider the challenges that your own river faces. Are there dams of self-doubt that block your flow? Are there pollutants of negativity that cloud your clarity? Are there political tensions between the different parts of your life, your work, your family, your personal needs, that create friction? The Nile story teaches us that these challenges are a natural part of the journey. The key is to approach them with the river's wisdom, with persistence, with flexibility, and with a commitment to keep flowing. By identifying these obstacles, we can begin to work toward greater harmony and a more integrated, powerful current in our lives. Thank you for joining us on this mindful journey along the Nile. We hope its story has brought you not just knowledge but also a sense of peace, connection, and inspiration. As you go forward, carry the spirit of the river with you. Seek out the currents that give you life. Navigate your challenges with quiet determination and strive to be a source of nourishment for the world around you. For more stories that heal the heart and expand the mind, subscribe to Mindful Wanderer Nature, Travel, and Meditation. Until our paths cross again, stay mindful, stay curious, and keep wandering with purpose and peace.